us today, our co-host Katie Delaney, the Republican nominee for County Commission seat, District 1. We also have Christopher Childs, the candidate for Titusville City Council seat 2. And of course, the talented Stale Bailey, publisher of the Advocate's Voice Online. Our quote for this week is from John F. Kennedy. Let us not seek the Republican answer or the Democratic answer, but the right answer. Let us not seek to fix the blame for the past. Let us accept our own responsibility for the future. You know, I think some of the guys in the past were a little bit had it more on the ball, the politicians did, than some of them today. He had a lot of depth to what he said there. Now, coming up, we want to talk about these issues. We have BREC and some of the things they're doing and still picking winners and losers. We have the Tobia Files, and we also have the County Commission meeting this past week, and there's a lot to talk about. Let's start with you, Stell. BREC, there's a email came out in which they're trying to pick between the two Republicans in Titusville, Sarah Stokel, and of course, Christopher Childs, in the City Council seat 2. Normally, in an election like that, you do not make a choice if there's two Republicans running. We made a video that Rick Lacey is picking winners and losers. Show me where I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. I think this is just even more confirmation, and it's going to raise more concerns among the community. North Brevard is chattering about BREC and the issues that have been arising with them through elections, and it makes us question the fairness of elections.
And really, you're beginning to wonder. I mean, if you look at what he's presided over in this county, we have a lot of people in office that are Republicans, but they're Republicans in name only. They really are just carrying the Republican name. And I mean, is it unfair to say that he owns this?
I don't think that's unfair at all. I don't think they're vetting their candidates well enough, especially in North Brevard. I don't think Rick Lacey is connected to North Brevard like we are, and it becomes pretty apparent when you see the candidates he's choosing in North Brevard.
And so it's a real problem, and hopefully you, the viewers and the people, which the power resides upon you, call Rick Lacey and tell him to stop these shenanigans. And I think he'll listen to you. He won't listen to me. He'll listen to you. That brings us to the Tobia Files. John Tobia, and again, we won't let this go. John, could you please come on the podcast and explain to us these issues here? Remember, he created a list of 200 people that we know of. Last week we talked about it and gathered information via Truthfinder. He also used a government staff to grade papers for Valencia College. He was under investigation for pretending to be Tim Bobanek in order to get information on Bobanek's travel. And he also had it approved for him to use alcohol in his government office. Is that correct? Show me where I'm wrong. Those things are accurate?
Well, that's what the book says. So, you know, until we hear his comments on that,
So some of this stuff with Truthfinder, we're still waiting on the possible suit that is going to be filed by, come on, Clerk of Courts, yes, who's looking to get this information on the Truthfinder. We're still waiting around, but we're not going to let this get away from you. We want to continue to keep this. This is a very serious thing. We had a government official who was using government money in order to get information about people in the public. Many of these people who spoke at county commission meetings, we're not going to let this go. John, can you come on the podcast and explain to us so that we can let this go? Could you please? And we'll actually get rid of, maybe you have a side of it that nobody else knows about, and hopefully you can come on and tell us about it. Katie, where am I wrong on this?
I think that the people deserve to know what is going on here. Elected officials should be held to a higher standard, and under no circumstance should we be gathering information on citizens. That's just, I mean, I'm speechless. I'm speechless that is going on. I was told that he has given the money back to the county for that Truthfinder account. So yay for that.
So now he's using his own money to spy on the citizens. So would that be the case?
It doesn't fix what he did, so I'm with you. I hope he comes on the podcast.
John, give me a call.
I think anytime the government collects information on you, it should be for a very good reason. You should be under indictment, or you suspected of some crime, not just, oh, someone said something bad about me online. That is not the right way of going about governing. You shouldn't just collect files like, your original FBI director, and just collecting files on people that say bad things about you. It's not the way to run a government.
What if they say something bad about you, Chris?
Right,
You
I
got to
know.
answer that,
And
right?
disrespecting
Right, and
the
they
people
disrespect
there.
you.
Because the First Amendment is only for respectful speech.
You know, one of the funniest things, Dale, is Susan Conley, a elderly lady. I joked with her that she was on this list, and
Yeah,
I'm thinking, how did you get on there? Since I'm jealous.
yeah, she's the last person that I think anyone expected to make this list. She's so sweet.
Oh yeah,
And
and
just
always respectful.
always respectful, really sweet. To the point. She spoke at meetings before, but for her to make this list, and then I also question if he's doing this and he's getting away with this, what else is going on in the county commission?
And again, and it begs the question, and I don't want to beat the drum too much on this. What did the other county commissioners know? I think it's a fair question, and I don't want to let this go. This is a real serious problem. You know, when Nixon had his enemies list, this was huge, and the media was all over it. Florida Today, where are you at on this? I mean, they were all over this. No one is talking about the seriousness of a government official keeping a list of the people that presumably he doesn't like or he has a problem with. And I think this is a very serious issue, and it's one that we're not going to let go at any time soon. John, if you can come on, maybe we can actually let it go and drop it, and maybe you have some information that you can let us know about, and we would love to have you on. And so that brings us to our next thing, and it's the county commission meeting. And so Sherwood loses for now. What happened, Katie, with this? I mean, we weren't expecting this. You were petitioning to try to get the Sherwood neighborhood issue dropped until a new commission comes in. Tell us what went on.
Right. So I was hoping that the current commission would postpone this, not just because there's a new commission coming, but also because all of the studies and testing and whatnot have not been completed. So why are we allowing a property to be rezoned, especially one that is so controversial, um, without all the testing and studies done? This project has, I believe it's 7 or 8 waivers or variances, because the project just doesn't work with the land because it's a golf course.
So they keep trying to twist it to make it fit.
Yes, the ordinances,
Right.
basically getting waivers to break the ordinances to make this project work. And it's just so wrong. It's we have we have a comprehensive plan for a reason. We have zoning laws for a reason. And so I'm really frustrated that the commission didn't listen to the people on this, but it's not over yet.
So what are
Because
their options?
so now the people, if they chose to, they have 30 days to sue over this decision. If they decide not to do that, this is just one step in completing this project. So they still have to go through site planning, they still have to finish all the testing and whatnot. And by that time, there will be a new commission in place. So there will be different leaders there. And so hopefully, those of us, hopefully myself and, some others, when we get on that commission, we can come at it with clear eyes.
Oh, you
and,
can't do it because Chris told you can't.
right. Yeah.
Make that
Yeah.
much of a difference. One person said that much of a difference. I thought that was really bizarre. Am I wrong?
You know, sometimes when there's change, people have a hard time with that, and so I don't hold it against him. I'm sure that he will be a valued voice on that commission, and that I'll be able to work with him.
Still, Hog Valley. What happened with that issue?
Okay, so there was a last minute change that was not communicated to the community. And so it really threw off all the community members that were there. They lowered the number of, what was it?
Mobile homes.
Mobile homes. And so in that moment, the community members that were going up, they were planning a totally different discussion. And so then they started calling out the commission saying, we were not notified about this change and we would like more time to prepare for this. Yes. Essentially, that's what it ended up being.
And it was the day prior. They made this change the day prior to the planning and zoning meeting. And because this is a quasi judicial hearing, there are certain laws when it comes to like sunshine and whatnot that I believe there has to be a 7-day notice to these plans. So
Violated that?
they didn't violate it because they postponed. If they would have voted to pass this, yes, in my opinion, it would have been a violation of sunshine.
Funny business going on here.
Yeah. I mean, because that's the same for the city. They have so many days they have to notice. We do that on planning and zoning sometimes where if even if we suggest like, hey, maybe we put this condition on it, if that's so far out of the scope of what we let the public know that was going to happen, then we have to, postpone it, table it for another time. So that's it. It happens, but obviously maybe the staff didn't let the commission know, or they just did, and they did plan, because that's what happens with us is the staff will let us know sometimes in the email saying, hey, you're probably gonna have to table this because we have a big change or whatever, but we can't like not talk about it because we advertised it. So you at least have to bring it up, and then we have to talk about tabling it.
So for now, Hog Valley is safe, nevertheless, right?
For the
now.
next 30 days.
For the next 30 days at least.
And two, I did bring up the point that the issue that some of the residents have with this project is that they fear that even a smaller mobile home park will lower the property values of the surrounding area. And while there are some properties that have a single mobile home in this area, most of the houses are not mobile homes. And so it's this property was zoned for 3 houses, and so I think that the people are not necessarily too happy with this, but we'll see how it goes in the next planning and zoning meeting. So I'm glad though that it went down from 30 to 6. That's at least an improvement, but it ideally, especially in North Brevard, it's so fragile. The flooding and whatnot, the lack of infrastructure, all of that stuff. There's a reason why the zoning is so stringent on not having so many houses.
And so they're trying to override that, and we see what has happened in other places when you do that. Palm Bay wasn't as fortunate. 3,000 units approved to be developed down in Palm Bay. Estelle, you were there. What's going on with this project?
It's a huge development, and a lot of people came forward and were really worried about the infrastructure because the infrastructure is not updated to standards for a development at this magnitude. And so there were a few speakers that got up and spoke about their concerns about that and the widening of the road, because the traffic is already having a hard time handling it. And this is something that we see across this county, and why so many candidates in this election season continuously bring up that we need to be smart about growth. I've not heard one candidate say that they're completely anti-growth.
Right. And then that's the thing that really is important to point out, right? So
Right.
you get accused of being anti-growth instead of saying that, no, we're not against growth,
Right.
but we're for smart growth,
Right.
right?
I was gonna say,
Right, Chris?
so I was talking to some other people before this about that, and a lot of the people like Steele and some others are saying that if you don't grow, you die. If you look at, and this is kind of an extreme look, but Hilton Head, South Carolina, very popular destination, a lot of upper class homes and stuff. I looked up how their growth, 2010 to 2020, you know how many people they grew?
I mean,
About 300. About
Wow.
300 in 10 years.
they're not dead though. They're not dead though, right?
They're not dead yet. Not yet, I guess. I guess it's coming. They have about 37,000. We can't be exactly like that, but just to say blanketly that if you don't grow, you die, that's a misnomer. That's not
And they're
true
beginning
at all.
to use language like that. So
The scary.
Steele
scare
on
you.
Thursday said something that was absolutely just unbelievable that he said it. You can't stop development. What? Commissioner Steele, do you know something we don't know? If the people don't want it, it can be stopped. Show me where I'm wrong, Steele.
You're not wrong. I mean, we are bending backwards for these developers by changing the zoning and messing with the comprehensive plan. Why are they getting this special treatment to come into our communities? These are people, a majority of these developments are from people that don't even live within our community. And it's one thing to do your buildings that coexist with the community that already,
Right.
but it's another thing to be changing all of the zoning and continuously approving it. And so for him to say that, I mean, Commissioner Steele already has a disdain for the public. It was very apparent when we were at that meeting the other night.
How do you say that? How do you say? How can he say you can't stop it? I mean, that's almost like what was it? A cartoon that used to say resistance is futile. Is that what he's saying? Resistance is futile. Or just Star Trek? Is that what he's saying?
The thing that I think that the power elite in Brevard County are going to start learning is that the power lies within the people. And I think that that is one thing that was shown very brightly with my win of the Republican ticket. The people are behind me. And, the people are where the power is. And so I think that we just need to keep speaking that message that we, the people, have the power. We are the government,
Right.
not the elected officials.
Absolutely. I mean, Chris, he went on to say, development is needed to fund the county.
Yeah. We need more people to keep fixing the stuff we already have. It's like a Ponzi scheme or something. I don't
Does that
know.
make sense? I mean, that just make it make sense to me, Chris.
It doesn't make sense to me either, so I can't really help you. I mean, it sounds like a Ponzi scheme is what he's describing. That's what a Ponzi scheme is you have to keep having people pay into it because you're spending too much money, right? That's not how you run a government. Is to keep the only way that you can keep everything built and everything taken care of is to add more people,
right?
And then you'll still have to add more people for that. That's a Ponzi scheme. That's not a government.
That's why we need more people like these two people sitting here in government, and I hope that you realize that, and I think you do, and we'll see what happens comes November 5th. And that brings us to my 2 cents. When I was a kid, I used to go to the grocery store down the street, and there was a sign up in the store that said this: since man to man is so unjust, we know not man we ought to trust. We've trusted many to our sorrow. Pay cash today, we'll trust tomorrow. I'm going to do a little twist on this, and it's going to be about politicians. Since politician to politician is so unjust, we know not politician we ought to trust. We've trusted many to our sorrow. Serve the people today, we'll trust tomorrow. And you have a wonderful week. That's my 2 cents. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe our podcast, and we'll see you next week.